The wind coming down from the northern ridge did not carry snow alone. It carried weakness. Across the black timberline, beneath the skeletal pines of the frozen valley, the wolf pack moved like a collapsing regime, retreating from a war nobody else knew existed. Their paws sank deep into old snow crust, their ribs pushed visibly beneath thick winter fur, and at the centre of the formation, the alpha bled with every step. The wound along his shoulder had frozen twice already, blood crusted against grey fur in dark layers. Each movement reopened it. The younger wolves noticed, so did the rival pack shadowing them through the forest. Nothing in the wilderness remains hidden for long, especially weakness. The matriarch walked slightly ahead, scanning the terrain with relentless precision. Her ears twitched constantly, tracking distant hoofbeats beneath the wind. Behind her, the yearlings struggled to maintain formation. Hunger was slowing them down. Fear was making them careless. Then, the forest went silent. No birds, no movement, just the sound of snow. Grinding beneath paws, the alpha stopped, immediately, across the frozen riverbank. Shapes emerged between the trees, large bodies, heavy winter coats, 6 wolves, well-fed, organised, patient, not scavengers, invaders. The rival alpha stepped forward first, head low, shoulders relaxed, eyes fixed directly on the injured leader. He did not snarl, he did not rush. This was not reckless violence, it was strategic pressure, a calculated test of authority, because among timber wolves, power survives only, while others still believe in it. The younger males inside the wounded alpha's pack shifted uneasily. One looked toward the outsiders, another lowered his posture slightly. Uncertain where loyalty now belonged, the alpha noticed that too. For a moment, the entire valley balanced on instinct and hesitation. Then, the old leader stepped forward, despite the blood loss. Snow cracked beneath his weight as he raised his head toward the sky and released a deep, violent howl across the mountains. Not a challenge, a declaration. The regime still stood. But winter had already begun deciding otherwise. The storm arrived 2 nights later. Snow buried old trails and erased hunting paths the pack had used for years. The elk herds migrated south, earlier than expected, forcing predators deeper into unfamiliar territory. Every mile burned energy the wolves no longer possessed. Hunger began reorganizing the hierarchy from within. The younger wolves moved faster now, pushing ahead during hunts, testing invisible boundaries. Small axe, delayed obedience, feeding too early, stealing position during movement. None of it. Open rebellion. Not yet, but power. Rarely collapses all at once. It fractures gradually. The matriarch maintained discipline with brutal efficiency. One snap of her jaws corrected younger wolves instantly. She controlled the pack's movement, protected the pups, and selected safe resting ground each night. Without her, the system would have already collapsed. But even discipline could not create food. 3 failed hunts nearly destroyed them. The first ended when a bull moose escaped through deep marsh ice. The second failed because one impatient yearling lunged too early, scattering a deer herd before the ambush closed. By the third failure, desperation had infected the entire pack. The alpha understood the danger immediately. Starvation kills slowly. Disorder kills faster. That night, beneath towering black pines, he approached the reckless yearling responsible for the failed hunt. The younger wolf held eye contact. Too long. Long enough to make the others watch carefully. The old alpha moved without warning. A violent collision of fur and teeth exploded across the snow. The younger wolf hit the ground instantly, pinned beneath the alpha's weight. Despite the injury, no prolonged fight followed. It did not need to. Authority had been publicly re-established for now. The next morning brought opportunity. A small elk herd grazed near the edge of a frozen valley basin. Weak visibility, deep snow, limited escape routes, perfect terrain for a strategic kill. The matriarch initiated the formation first. 2 females circled wide left through the tree line. Younger males pushed low through the centre. The alpha remained behind initially, conserving strength while observing movement patterns. No words passed between them. None were needed. Every wolf understood the execution. Instinctively, the herd sensed danger. Too late. Snow erupted as the wolves burst from cover. Panic shattered the formation. Immediately, the elk scattered toward the ridge, but the matriarch anticipated the escape angle and intercepted the lead female perfectly, forcing the herd sideways into deeper snow. The wolves targeted weakness with terrifying discipline. Not the strongest, not the largest, the slowest. One elk stumbled briefly while climbing an icy incline. That single mistake sealed its fate. The younger males attacked first, biting at the rear legs. Before retreating instantly, the elk kicked violently, hooves smashing through ice crust with lethal force. One direct strike shattered a wolf's jaw and sent him collapsing sideways into the snow, screaming still. The pack maintained pressure. Exhaustion was their true weapon, minute by minute. The elk slowed. Blood spread across its hind leg. Breath exploded from its nostrils in thick clouds. The alpha finally entered the hunt, charging directly toward the throat as the others dragged the prey off balance. Then disaster struck. A yearling lunged too early. The elk pivoted with explosive force and drove both front hooves directly into the young wolf's chest. Bone cracked instantly. The body collapsed, motionless, beneath the animal's weight. The herd escaped. Moments later, silence followed. The injured yearling gasped weakly against the frozen ground, while the pack surrounded him. No wolf approached immediately. The alpha simply stared. In the wilderness, costly mistakes are not mourned first. They are remembered. The yearling died before nightfall. The pack moved on before dawn. There was no ceremony, no hesitation. Winter respected only survival. But the rival pack remained close now. Their scent appeared around abandoned kills. Their howls echoed nearer. Each evening, they were not attacking directly yet. They were applying pressure strategically, waiting for starvation and exhaustion to finish weakening the old regime before the final confrontation. And every day, the alpha lost something else. Speed, endurance, fear. The final hunt began at sunset. Beneath a blood-red sky, a massive bull moose emerged near the frozen river crossing, its antlers towering like dead branches against the storm clouds. Old scars marked its flanks. One front leg dragged slightly through the snow. An injured giant, exactly the kind of prey capable of either saving the pack or destroying what remained of it. The matriarch moved first, forcing the moose toward the river basin, while the younger wolves spread outward to eliminate escape angles. The alpha remained close behind, despite his worsening injury. The moose charged suddenly. One wolf barely escaped the antlers, another vanished beneath crashing hooves, before rolling free at the last second. Snow exploded everywhere as predator and prey collided across the frozen river. Then the ice cracked, a deep fracture split beneath the moose's weight. The alpha lunged anyway, his jaws locked onto the animal's throat, just as the river surface shattered completely. Beneath them both, black water erupted upward, ice fragments scattered across the valley. The current swallowed them instantly. The pack froze at the riverbank. The moose thrashed violently in the freezing water, smashing against broken ice, while the alpha clung to its neck with desperate fury. Blood spread rapidly across the current. The matriarch reacted immediately. She leaped onto the unstable ice and barked sharply. The others surged forward, grabbing antlers, legs, flesh, anything capable of dragging the dying moose towards solid ground. Then the rival pack appeared. 7 wolves emerged silently from the forest edge, healthy, heavy, patient. They had watched the entire hunt unfold. The rival alpha stepped forward slowly, while the old leader still fought for survival in the river below. His gaze ignored the moose entirely. He was not here for food alone. He wanted territory, pups, legacy. The matriarch placed herself between him and the pack instantly, fur soaked with freezing water and blood. The younger wolves hesitated behind her. Then, the rival alpha attacked without warning. The collision shook snow from nearby branches. Teeth slammed into flesh. Wolves crashed together across the riverbank in a blur of grey fur and violence. The matriarch fought with terrifying precision, dodging one attack before driving her jaws deep into an enemy shoulder. But she was tiring quickly. The rival wolves rotated constantly, forcing exhaustion onto her through numbers alone. Then the system finally broke. One younger male from her own pack stepped backward instead of forward. Another lowered his posture toward the invaders. Submission. Betrayal among wolves requires no language, only absence. The matriarch understood immediately. The regime was collapsing in real time. Below them, the alpha finally dragged himself from the river. Water streamed from frozen fur. His injured leg barely functioned. Every breath shook violently through his chest, but he saw everything. The surrender, the hesitation, the outsiders claiming ground already stained by his blood. The entire structure he spent years enforcing was dissolving within minutes. Still, he moved forward. The rival alpha turned toward him slowly. For a brief moment, the valley became completely silent, except for the river beneath the ice. Then, the old leader released one final howl. Not rage, not fear, recognition. The wilderness had already chosen its successor long before this battle began. He charged anyway. The impact between both alphas was savage and immediate. Teeth tore through fur. Blood sprayed across shattered ice. They rolled together near the riverbank, jaws searching desperately for throats, legs, anything vulnerable. But age is undefeated in the wilderness. The old alpha slowed first. The rival leader seized the opening instantly. His jaws locked beneath the veteran's throat. Pressure. Silence. Then stillness. The valley ended the old regime without ceremony. The surviving wolves backed away carefully, while the rival alpha stood over the body. The younger traitors approached cautiously, hoping submission had purchased survival. But wilderness law contains another rule, rarely survived long enough to understand. Those willing to betray one hierarchy can never be trusted inside another. One of the rival wolves attacked the submissive yearling immediately, driving him violently away from the carcass. No place awaited him here. His surrender had merely delayed his execution. The matriarch gathered the pups silently. No howl escaped her now, no final glance toward the fallen alpha. She simply disappeared into the forest, with the few survivors still loyal enough to follow. By spring, the old pack had become memory. Snow melted, blood vanished beneath river mud. The rival pack controlled the valley completely. Their scent marked the trees. Their howls replaced every trace of the old order, and the pups growing beneath the new regime would never know the name of the alpha who died defending territory already destined to abandon him. Because among timber wolves, power is never permanent. Every hierarchy survives only until weakness becomes visible. Every leader rules only until winter finds something slower, older, or wounded. The laws governing them remain unwritten, because the wilderness does not need language to enforce them. Only hunger, only violence, only time. If this story stayed with you until the end, then this is only the beginning. This is the very first hunt on this channel, the first step into a world ruled by hunger, power, and survival. Every subscribe, every like, and every comment helps this pack grow stronger. Support the channel and become part of the journey before the next winter arrives.